Hello there, you're watching Nightline with me, Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan. The top stories. Zionist regime intensifies its strikes on Lebanon and Gaza as the conflict hits one-year mark. And stronger ringgit, increase in investments demonstrate success of reforms, says Prime Minister. Good morning. The Zionist military has intensified its strikes in Lebanon and Gaza on Monday as the expanding conflict in the Middle East hits its one-year mark since the regime began its heavy bombardment on Gaza. A ministry statement said the men lost their lives when a Zionist fighter jet hit a municipal building in the town of Barachit. The ministry also called the attack a war crime to be added to Israel's criminal record against firefighters and ambulance workers. Meanwhile, at least 17 Palestinians, including 9 children, were killed after the Zionist military ordered civilians to immediately flee northern Gaza's Jabalia refugee camp and began heavy bombardment. Despite international warnings that the Middle East region was on the brink of a regional war amid Israel's relentless attacks on Gaza and Lebanon, Tel Aviv expanded the conflict by launching on October 1st a ground invasion into southern Lebanon. Israel's war on Gaza, one of the deadliest and most destructive in recent history, has killed nearly 42,000 people, half of whom were women and children, and wounded more than 96,000.
The death toll is likely to be much higher as thousands of people remain buried under rubble or in areas inaccessible to medical teams. In a military operation, many governments and right groups have turned a genocide against the Palestinians. According to estimates by the United Nations, in the year since, about 90% of Gaza's 2.3 million population has been displaced, most of them multiple times. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinian families are now crowding in sprawling tent camps near the Mediterranean coast. With no electricity, running water or toilets, hunger and diseases are widespread. The UN said the war has damaged or destroyed over 92% of Gaza's main roads and more than 84% of its health facilities. It estimates that nearly 70% of Gaza's water and sanitation plants have been destroyed or damaged. The UN also estimates that the war has left some 40 million tons of debris and rubble in Gaza and could take up to 15 years and nearly $650 million to clear it all away.
هيك الخبط راجع والرجل شغال والدنيا شغال وانا نروح والله ما انا قادره امشي من هالها رجلي فيها خشونه ما انا قادره امشي وانا اروح
في جنوب لبنان كما يفعلون وهناك نقول له باذن الله تعالى ان الشعب هذا رسالته لكم بالدم الدم بالدم يا شعب اسرائيل تكبير سنقاتلكم حتى الممات وصيه النبي الاعظم صلوات ربي عليه واله وسلم مني الى جنوب لبنان رسالتنا لكم لاننا معكم قلبا
Meanwhile, tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets in major cities around the world to condemn the violent Zionist military operations in Gaza as the war in the Palestinian territory hit the one-year mark. Protests broke out across cities worldwide, including Paris, Rome, Berlin, Madrid, Barcelona and Cape Town, as demonstrators demanded an end to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, showing solidarity with Palestinians and condemning Western arms support for Israel. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators gathered in downtown Toronto, Canada's largest city, joining a global wave of protests to oppose Western military aid to Israel. The protesters also expressed solidarity with the Palestinian people and called on the international community to stop Israel's aggression against Lebanon.
This protest is joining over 30 protests across the world on this day at this time that are standing with the people of Gaza. So we're here today to mark 1 year of Israel's genocide against the people of Gaza, which has murdered over 189,000 Palestinians. We're also here to mark our people's ongoing resistance to occupation and colonialism. So we're here to demand that the Canadian government stop selling arms to Israel and to show our people in Gaza and in Lebanon, who are now also facing attacks, that we stand with them, that we will continue from all walks of life across Canada to stand with the people of Palestine and Lebanon in their struggle for freedom.
In Turkey, thousands of people marched in nearly 60 cities across the country, including Istanbul and Ankara, demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Demonstrators filled the streets to express solidarity with the Palestinian people, protest against Israel's brutalities in the Middle East, and call on Western countries to cease their support for Israel and work towards a prompt resolution to the ongoing conflict in the region. Over in Spain, protesters gathered in Navalmoral de la Mata, outside the factory of a German automotive and arms manufacturer involved in weapon sales to Israel. Marching to the facility's gates, the protesters demanded an end to the company's role in the conflict, condemning its production of missile systems.
Todos vivimos en paz o no vivirá nadie nunca en paz. Y todo en contra completamente de las masacres, de la muerte y de la guerra. Por eso, todo lo que sea armas que contribuya al asesinato, estoy totalmente en contra.
On the local front, the government's structural reforms have proven to be effective, as seen through the strengthening of the ringgit, the increase in investments and the positive trajectory of the country's economic growth. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim assured that the government will not be complacent, but will stay vigilant amid regional and global challenges, even as these reforms show results. Anwar, who is also the finance minister, stated that as innovation and technology are key drivers of global growth, the government is working with government-linked investment companies, GLICs, to increase venture capital financing in these sectors over the next 5 years.
I take a moment to thank our investment community, both foreign and domestic, for their faith, trust and confidence in the Malaysian economy, our governance, our rule of law and our political stability.
Anwar said this in his speech at the Khazanah Megatrends Forum 2024 in Kuala Lumpur on Monday. He highlighted that the Madani government had shown firm political courage in rationalising subsidies to achieve these successes, despite the risk of being unpopular, a move he said the previous governments had failed to do. He also reiterated that the decision to rationalise subsidies was not meant to cause pain or suffering to the people. Instead, the billions of ringgit saved from subsidy rationalisation are now being redirected to the people through other forms of assistance and cash transfers.
Wealthy and the big industries must pay what they ought to. So when I say subsidy rationalisation, it actually did not affect the changes, because the subsidy continues for the vast majority of our people, what we call B40, M40. And probably the low T20.
He added that the government remains committed to governance, accountability and social justice to ensure that the benefits of growth are fairly and equitably distributed. Moving on, the Education Ministry MOE will cooperate with the police in their investigation into a bullying incident that occurred at a boarding school in Kuala Lumpur recently. Its Minister Fadil Nasir emphasised that the ministry does not compromise on such matters, adding that firm action will be taken against those involved once the police complete their probe.
Saya ingin menegaskan sekali lagi bahawa buli adalah buli. Tidak kira anak siapa pun, anak selebriti, anak menteri sekalipun, buli adalah buli. Jadi kita tidak kompromi dalam soal ini dan kita telah pun membuat tindakan tegas dan bersama dengan mengambil tindakan bersama pihak autoriti.
Fadlina told this to reporters after officiating the Tekad Reformasi Pendidikan program in Kajang, Selangor on Monday. She stressed that guidelines have been issued by the ministry to tackle the issue last year and must be adhered to by every school. Previously, the lead singer of the rock group Spider, Rustam Mustafa, revealed that his 14-year-old son became a victim of bullying at his school. Following this, several parents came forward claiming their children were also victims. According to the police, 5 reports related to the bullying allegations have been filed and investigations are underway.
A meeting between the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC and the Immigration Department on the issue of counter-setting at Kuala Lumpur International Airport Terminals 1 and 2 is expected to take place within a month. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azambaki stated that cooperation between the two agencies is essential to ensure improvements within the department and ensure that airport counters are handled satisfactorily.
Perkara ni beliau bersetuju dengan saya kerana perkara ni perlu ada engagement bersama, melibat urus antara pihak dua agensi ini bagi tujuan penambahbaikan antara penambahbaikan dalam immigration itu sendiri supaya selepas pada ini pada saya immigration akan berwajah baru dan juga cara mengendalikan kaunter-kaunter itu juga akan memuaskan hati rakyat.
Azam said this after the recording of the Soal Rakyat program at Sri Pentas on Monday. Earlier, he was greeted upon arrival by Media Prima Television Networks MPTN and Primeworks Studios Chief Executive Officer Nini Yusof, Media Prima Omnia Chief Operating Officer Datuk Muhammad Effendi Omar, New Straits Times Press NSTP Group Managing Editor Datuk Ahmad Zaini Kamaruzaman and MPTN News and Current Affairs Group Editor Kamaruddin Mape. Meanwhile, Azam also said that the MACC is conducting regular monitoring at both airports involving all enforcement agencies. Previously, he proposed that immigration officers at the country's entry points should not have access to their mobile phones. This after MACC investigations found that immigration officers who were caught for countersetting at KLIA Terminals 1 and 2 recently had received information from agents on the arrival of certain foreign nationals via WhatsApp. It was reported that syndicates had been bribing these officers to allow foreigners, particularly from Bangladesh, Nepal and Myanmar, to enter the country without following proper protocols. To date, 50 immigration officers who colluded with the syndicates have been arrested by the graftbusters. The state of Johor will revert its weekend off days to Saturday and Sunday starting January 1st, 2025. The announcement on the weekend switch was made by the Regent of Johor, Tunku Ismail Sultan Ibrahim, on Monday.
In a post on his official Facebook page, Tunku Ismail said that the decision had received the consent of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim and was based on the views of the Johor Islamic Religious Department, JAINJ. He added that he has decreed both Johor Menteri Besar Dato' On Hafiz Ghazi and the State Mufti to discuss and study every angle and aspects regarding the matter. Tunku Ismail also urged private companies, government bodies and the relevant parties to provide ample time and flexibility for Muslim employees to perform Friday prayers. Johor has been observing Friday and Saturday as its official weekend since January 2014. In June 2022, On Hafiz said that there were complaints from the public about the difference in rest days between the government and the private sector. He later presented the state government's findings regarding the proposed Saturday and Sunday reversion to Sultan Ibrahim for consideration in August the same year. Meanwhile, the decision on the new weekend was welcomed by various parties, especially the private sector in Johor, as it will boost productivity by aligning operations of local companies with businesses beyond the state.
2 Chinese nationals killed in Pakistan airport blast. This and more from the foreign front when we return.
Menarik di MHI sepanjang minggu.
Kadar kemalangan melibatkan kenderaan berat semakin meningkat. Di mana silapnya?
Jawab.
Itulah seronok sangat menyanyi. Suara dan peti suara pun kena jaga tau.
Awak jangan main-main. Saya bawa pengawal peribadi saya baru awak tahu. Tapi zaman sekarang ni penting ke ada pengawal peribadi?
Dan Khamis, wajarkah subsidi pendidikan untuk anak golongan kaya dihentikan?
Jagaan Belanjawan 2025 dalam soal wang.
MSI Isnin hingga Jumaat hanya di TV3
dan stream ditonton.
Wanita hari ini.
Ada apa dengan 40? Orang kata life begins at 40. Okey, makanan apa yang ada sepanjang tahun? Awak nak tahu? Awak nak tahu? Nantikan Selasa ini. Dalam hidup ni kadang-kadang akan ada rasa nak berputus asa. Alah, janganlah macam tu. Tak kiralah apa saja dugaan yang datang, kita kena bangkit. Okey, cyst. Adakah ianya berbahaya? Nantikan kupasannya Khamis ini. Ada pasangan kan? Kat depan lain, kat belakang lain. Alamak, betul-betul topeng ke? Semuanya di WHI TV3 dan stream ditonton. Kekal cakna, kekal sihat. Hello Doktor merungkai pelbagai persoalan kesihatan anda.
Penyakit kronik, pemakanan, kesihatan mental, semuanya demi kesejahteraan anda.
Setiap minggu bersama tenaga pakar kesihatan terbaik Malaysia, segalanya terjawab dalam Hello Doktor setiap Ahad
5.30 petang di TV3
dan stream juga melalui tonton.
On to the foreign front. Government disaster officials in India and Bangladesh on Monday said torrents of water rushing downstream from the Himalayas have killed at least 20 people in flood and landslides. India's Chief Minister's office said relentless rainfall-induced floods and landslides had caused a swathe of destruction in northeastern Meghalaya state. In a statement, it said the death toll from the landslides and floods in the Garo Hills region has increased to 15 since Friday. Meanwhile, in neighbouring Bangladesh, the Disaster Management Ministry said 5 people have been killed since Saturday. It was also reported that at least 20,000 people have been forced to flee their homes. The disasters follow devastating floods in Nepal, which killed at least 225 people, with water adding to already swollen rivers in India and Bangladesh. A Pakistani separatist group on Monday has claimed responsibility for a late-night bombing that targeted a convoy carrying Chinese nationals, resulting in the deaths of 2 Chinese workers and the injury of 10 others. In a statement, the Baloch Liberation Army said it had targeted a high-level convoy of Chinese engineers and investors arriving from Karachi Airport at 11 p.m. local time. A later statement from the group described it as a suicide attack and named the perpetrator as Shah Fahad. The attack was carried out using a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. According to the Chinese embassy, the engineers were part of a Chinese-funded enterprise. It also condemned the attack and requested Pakistan to thoroughly investigate the attack, severely punish the perpetrators and take all necessary measures to protect the safety of Chinese citizens, institutions and projects. The mayor of a Mexican city plagued by drug violence has been murdered less than a week after taking office. Alejandro Arcos was found dead on Sunday in Chilpancingo, a city of around 280,000 people in the southwestern state of Guerrero. He had only been mayor for 6 days. Authorities confirmed Arcos's murder after unverified social media images showed what appeared to be his remains. However, they have yet to release details of the investigation or suspects. Local media reported that Arcos was decapitated, but there has been no official confirmation. His death came 3 days after the city government's new secretary, Francisco Tapia, was shot dead. Guerrero is one of the worst affected states with drug violence and drug cartels, having murdered dozens of politicians across the country. Frankfurt rally for dramatic draw against Bayern. Sports right after this breather.
Panggil pakar kaji purba pun macam tak berbaloi je ni.
Hei! Ibu perasan?
Lihat cermin lama. Jumpa dahlia. Satu kampung dah kecoh. Dia nampak arwah bapak engkau bangkit daripada kubur.
Penggali kubur dan Miss Sleepwalker minggu akhir Isnin dan Selasa 10 malam di Samarinda TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Kehilangan seorang pesara akhirnya terjawab.
Perbuatan dia pada ayah ni kiranya sangat-sangat keterlaluan lah saya rasa.
Tindakan suspek dianggap melampaui batas.
Sebab dia kata situ kan ada macam air pusar Dia kata kalau teruskan juga bahaya dia kata.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Takkan melupakanmu. Bertiga, mereka hanyalah gadis sekolah yang biasa-biasa je.
Best kalau kita jadi spy.
Tapi kalau disuruhnya berangan, 3 gadis jenin ni memang tak nak kalah.
Baik, saya bagi tahu awal. Kita clash.
Gadis dan Angan-Angan, Khamis hingga Sabtu 9 malam. Di Lestari TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. Sports, football, the German Bundesliga. Omar Marmoush struck deep into stoppage time as Eintracht Frankfurt snatched a point in a thrilling 3-3 draw with Bayern Munich at home on Sunday. The Bavarians opened the scoring 15 minutes into the game when Kim Min-jae fired home Thomas Müller's cutback. Their lead, however, did not last long as Marmoush equalised for Frankfurt 6 minutes later with a low-driven shot. Marmoush then turned the provider, delivering a perfect trough ball for Hugo Ekitike to put the hosts in front in the 35th minute. Stunned, Bayern equalised 3 minutes later through Dayo Upamecano before Mikel Olise put the visitors back in front in the 53rd minute with a superb curler. Vincent Kompany's man almost walked away with 3 points in hand, but Marmoush popped up again to score his second and steal a point for the hosts. With the results, Bayern remain on top of the standings with 14 points, 1 point ahead of Frankfurt. In another match, RB Leipzig went level with leaders Bayern following a narrow 1-0 win at Heidenheim. After a goalless first half, both sides pushed hard for a goal, but it was Lois Openda who struck the winner after showcasing his clinical finishing by squeezing a shot in at the near post from a tight angle. Heidenheim fought harder and came close to equalising through Jan Schopner, but his thunderous effort hit the woodwork in the 68th minute. The 1-0 scoreline remained until the final whistle, putting Leipzig in second place with 14 points. Turning to tennis now, the 2024 Shanghai Masters. Taylor Fritz finally made it into the third round on Monday, 2 days after his match against France's Terence Artman had been suspended because of rain. Resuming at 4-3 in the first set, the world number 7 defeated the Frenchman 7-6, 7-6 in the second round to set up a meeting with Yosuke Watanuki of Japan in the third round. Earlier, last year's semi-finalist Grigor Dimitrov also managed to finish a delayed match, and the world number 10 overcame Belgium Zizo Bergs 6-3, 3-6, 6-2 to reach the round of 32. Waiting for him in the next round will be Australia's Alexei Popyrin. Joining them was Francis Tiafoe. The American ended Chinese hopes when he defeated Zhou Yi 6-2, 6-4 in the second round. Up next, he's set to face Roman Safiullin for a place in the last 16. Notorious criminal gang finally dismantled. The details when we come back.
Seorang wanita dan adik lelaki dihadapkan ke Mahkamah Magistrate Kajang atas pertuduhan bersama membunuh suaminya yang buta demi harta.
Suspek utama telah ambil setukuk tu, pukul dia dekat kepala.
Rasa fikir baliklah benda ayah semua buat untuk dia, tapi dia boleh buat pula macam ni dekat ayah.
Diving deep into the business world.
With expert insights and in-depth analysis.
The latest trends and developments shaping the country, region and the globe.
Key insights into finance.
On Money Matters.
Every Saturday at 5 p.m.
On TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Segalanya pasti dia miliki, bahkan cinta.
Awak kan cinta pertama dan terakhir saya.
Perkahwinan dibina tanpa keikhlasan, penuh kepuraan.
Wala, saya benci awak!
Rasa iri menguasai, menjadi cala cinta. Mulai 9 Oktober, Isnin hingga Khamis 10 malam. Terbaru di Samarinda TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Nightline continues. After carrying out at least 13 robberies and engaging in secret society activities in several states since last year, a notorious criminal group described as violent and highly dangerous was finally dismantled by the police. This after 10 individuals believed to be members of the gang, including a woman, were nabbed in a police operation dubbed Opkasa, which started last Thursday.
Selangor Police Chief Datuk Hussein Omar Khan said in a press conference on Monday that the gang, consisting of 10 to 12 individuals, have been actively committing crimes for the past year around Klang Selatan, Shah Alam and Negeri Sembilan. He added that during the operation, 10 suspects aged between 23 and 46 were arrested in a series of raids in Mantin, Negeri Sembilan and around the Klang Valley. The leader of the gang, who is in his 30s and has 14 criminal records, including 2 for murder and 1 for attempted murder, was also apprehended during the raids.
Mereka akan mengenal pasti rumah-rumah yang mereka mudah masuk dan mereka akan masuk di awal pagi apabila mana-mana ahli keluarga cuba membuka pintu. Okay. Mana-mana mangsa dalam rumah tu membuka pintu, mereka akan serbu rumah tu dengan menggunakan parang dan mengikat mangsa dan menggeledah rumah tu dan mengambil barang-barang yang berharga dan bawa lari.
Hussein also said that authorities have been tracking this gang since early this year. Police also managed to recover some of the stolen items, including religious statues, and are pursuing other gang members who are still at large. The arrests were made in connection with an armed robbery involving a family at a bungalow in Pandamaran, Klang, last Thursday. In the 5 a.m. incident, the gang fled with 600,000 ringgit in cash, valuable DTs and jewellery. One of the victims, a 37-year-old man, was also slashed on the shoulder with a machete during the robbery. All the suspects have been remanded for 7 days to assist investigations under the Penal Code.
And lastly, the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court has issued an arrest warrant against a man known as Hot Daddy and 2 women who are facing charges of advertising prostitution services on social media. The arrest warrants were issued by Judge Siti Shakirah Mokhtaruddin after the trio did not show up for court proceedings on Monday.
Siti Shakirah issued the arrest warrant for the 32-year-old Hasli Ikwan Arifzul Hasli and his 2 female friends, Nur Hidayah Mahadi and Nur Shazrina Madzamri, aged 24 and 27, after they, as well as their sureties, failed to appear in court despite having their names repeatedly called when proceedings began at 9 a.m. In another sessions court, Judge Susanna Hussein also issued an arrest warrant against Nur Shazrina for failing to attend proceedings on a charge of possessing obscene film. Both courts set November 8th for next case mention. The trio were jointly charged on January 26 following their arrest for allegedly making advertisements for sexual activities on the X application. Police said the male suspect was believed to have a background as a gigolo and sold explicit videos of himself engaging in sexual activities with over 20 women on the Telegram application.
And that concludes this edition of Nightline. Before we leave, let's take a look as vigils were held in the capitals of Argentina and Chile for victims of the war in Gaza on the eve of the first anniversary of the atrocities laid by the Zionist regime. With that, I'm Muhammed Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.